Hello there. Welcome to Where's Wilmington. I'm Lisa Capala. Hope you're enjoying your summer. Today I have the pleasure of having with me return guests. These guys were with me, I think, 6 or 7 years ago, dating ourselves now.
Yeah.
Mickey Rooney to my right here and Frank Hubner, and they are here to talk to us today about the Pan Mass Challenge, yeah?
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
So how long have you been involved, Mickey, with the Pan Mass Challenge?
I got first involved with the PMC in 1981, but I think I'm going to say 1982, and continued on for that time until hopefully with another one finishing up this year.
Nice.
So
What made you get started?
actually, there were 4 or 5 of us on a bike team just riding, and one of them, I forget who the person was, I think it was Fred Robbins, said, boy, this sounds like a great weekend. So we said, yeah, let's do that. So we looked it up in the newspaper and found out where it was, and we sent our letter in, and then we went to, what's that big park down in Boston? I mean, down there, big camping area on the South Shore.
I'm not a camper, I couldn't tell you.
Well, anyway, that's where the first one was held, and it was slept in a camping area down there. So
Nice.
you brought your own sleeping bag or whatever and get into that stuff going that way, right? Then at that time, Billy Starr, he was the first one. He's the one, he
Right,
originally...
he's the founder from 1980,
He's the founder
right?
from that.
Yeah.
His mother died of cancer, and he started that whole program going, and then continued on right up until today. But he quite a guy, still is after all the years he's been in there. And the first year, I think he did the PMC ride. There was something like, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13 bike riders, something like that anyway. And you donated so much money.
You had 230,000 last year.
Huh?
230,000 people participated last year.
And easy.
So, yeah.
And that's just riders. Right now, all the riders, now you get all the volunteers. And the volunteers, I have no idea how to even estimate how many people.
Yeah, it's
Be
amazing.
tens of thousands, I
Right.
bet.
And you definitely could not do this event without all the checkpoints and all the
Oh,
safety.
yeah.
and
If it
all
wasn't
that.
for the volunteers, it would never survive. You'd never make it.
So how does it work? I know this particular year it's going to run August 2nd and 3rd, which is Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Do you ride for that entire time? Are there courses? I know there's 12 routes you can pick from. So how does it work?
Now there's like, I think it's 8 different routes
Yeah,
you
there's
can
quite a
take.
few routes now.
Yeah, 8 different routes you can take. But for years, we always took from Sturbridge to Mass Maritime, which was 104 maybe,
Yeah, something like
104 miles.
Wow.
Then you stayed over at Mass Maritime, get up in the morning and leave there and go down to the Cape, and then come back on the boat to Boston or to another drop-off spot.
Wow.
And by doing that, hopefully you had finished it and raised up some money for it and whatever, and yes.
Now, why this particular charity, Dana Farber? Why for you personally?
Well, Dana Farber's strictly every penny that's donated is going to the Dana Farber Jimmy Fund. There's no outside money, and God only knows how many millions of dollars are donated by these big businesses, trucks, cars, volunteers, donations to us, and then we turn that into Billy Starr or to the PMC bike ride.
Right.
There's no bite-offs of anybody that's going to take anything. It all goes to Dana Farber Jimmy Fund.
And that's why you're involved with them, because you like that concept.
Yes, yeah. And now with that from when that started in that year, I still give blood platelets to Dana Farber. I give platelets
You're the gift that keeps on giving.
every 2 weeks. Yeah, but it's good to go in there and sit around. They give you a needle, and then afterwards they give you something to eat. So.
Hey, so you get a free meal for
Yeah,
your time.
right.
I like that.
Exactly.
And Frank, what about you? How did you get involved with the Pan Mass Challenge, and why?
Well, it was actually back in 2003. It was after the ride. It was in the Sunday paper, I think, after Labor Day, and I'd seen an article about it, about bike riding. And I said to my wife, I said, that's something I could do. I'm not really a big walker and stuff. I said, I could do that. And she goes, yeah. She goes, you have good intentions, but you don't follow through. So I said, okay. So I took the article and I put it in my desk. And that fall in April, I opened up and I called. And I said, I want to do the ride. And the girl got on the phone. She said, okay, what do you want to do? And I says, I'm going to do Sturbridge to Provincetown. And she goes, well, that's all full up. I said, what do you mean? She goes, there's no room. I said, it's only April. And she says, you don't understand. She says, it gets filled up right away. So I said, okay. I said, well, I'm not going to do it then. And that was it. I hung up the phone. And about 5 minutes later, she called me back. And she says to me, have you ever ridden this before? And I said, no. She goes, can you do me a favor? Can you do the Wellesley? There's a ride from Wellesley to Bourne back to Wellesley. It's not as long, but, why don't you do that? So I said, okay. And that's how I got started. So I did it the first year by myself. I just went down and we took off. And you're not by yourself anyways. There's just so many people around.
Right.
And so my wife is actually the one that kind of pushed me in that direction. And I've been doing it ever since. Once you do it, it's hard not to do it.
Right.
It's hard not to do it. And and actually,
suicide,
and I did it because I thought, it's something I can do for a charity. And it turned out my mother had cancer, probably for about 15 years, and she was cleared. And when I come home, we got home Sunday, and I went to work Monday because they said I wouldn't go to work, I'd be too sore. So I made sure I went to work. And that Monday night, I got a phone call telling me to go up to the hospital. My mother was up there, and they weren't quite sure what was going on. And it just so happened that her cancer came back after 15 years.
Wow.
And she died 3 months later. So I look back and I says, maybe I was meant to do this ride.
Right.
And since then, other people, a lot of friends and family have died of cancer. And
Right. I mean, there's really
it
no
affects
one
everybody.
that isn't touched by it in some way or
Exactly,
another, right?
exactly.
So you ride with a group of friends now, or do you have separate groups? How does it work?
Well, sometimes we rode together for a long time.
Yeah.
Other times just ride off.
But you're much faster than Frank. So,
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. It's much
Those days
faster.
are over, I'll tell you that much.
No, but we train together. We might have some other people training with us. When you do the ride, we all take off at once. And out in Sturbridge, I think there's probably about 3,000 bikes that take off at once. So you get out there and we're together for a little bit, and then in a matter of a mile or two, you get separated.
Right.
But it's just all kinds of people, and it doesn't really make any difference. You just go the speed you want. Some of these guys can go 22 miles an hour for 100 miles.
Right.
We do what, 14 or 15, and we're doing good. So
Yeah, of course, we think we belong in the PA.
on the Tour de France,
On the Tour
Right.
de
Well,
Right.
you're training for that. I'm sure
Exactly.
you could qualify after all you
yeah,
do.
he could probably.
So you know how they say with the marathon, there's Heartbreak Hill. At any of these routes, is there an area that is very challenging to ride, or do you just find over time you get more exhausted?
I think the first 40 hours, the first 40 miles.
I was going to
40
say the
hours,
first
yeah.
40
Yeah,
hours.
40
Holy
hours.
moly!
First 40 miles are a tough ride
From
Yes.
Sturbridge.
from
It's brutal.
Sturbridge.
Really?
Yeah.
But now there's 8 different routes you can take, so it makes it, and that helps bring everybody in who
Yeah.
can't do
Yeah.
that other part.
Right,
So.
right. Now, you say the first 40 miles. How many miles altogether is the route that you two use?
It's like 120.
Well, with the ride to Sturbridge is 192,
Wow.
and
The
we do
whole thing
110 the
for 2
first day.
days.
You do 110 the first day, and I think
I'm
it's 84.
exhausted just hearing you do it.
Yeah.
And this is in August.
Yeah, it can
when
be,
it's a little
Can
warm.
be warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's other days that there's times when we left Sturbridge and it poured rain,
Yeah.
buckets of rain all the
Yeah,
way
that's
till
not
you
fun
get
either.
to.
Would you rather have it warm or rainy? It's probably
Definitely warm.
yeah, because it's
definitely,
dangerous in the
yeah.
rain, right?
Bike and cold and the wind.
Yeah.
Not fun.
No, it's not fun.
So, how does the ride raise money? How does that work?
From its volunteers and from the riders.
Do people? You
And
have to
for-
pay a certain entrance fee, is what I'm getting
Right.
at, don't
Oh,
you?
yeah,
So
still
how
do
does
that.
that
Right.
work?
Yeah.
we have to turn around. When we first start,
Yes.
depending on the route you have, it depends on how much money you
Oh.
have to pay. So on our
Okay.
particular route, we have to raise $4,300
Individually?
individually, each rider.
Oh wow.
And in order to do that, you have to give them the credit card when you sign up in January.
So there's no turning back.
Right, so there's no turning back. So you have to do that, and if you don't make it, then they pull it out of your credit card.
Wow.
And so
So
luckily,
they're not fooling around.
no.
Well, what happened a lot with that example there, a lot of people in January and February would sign up for the PMC ride. And you have to come up with that $4,000, right? Well, it's $4,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to come up at least with that. So now, around May or so, I say, I ain't gonna do the bike ride this year. I'll forget it.
Right.
So now all those seats, all those bicycles are empty. They didn't do, so it costs too much money. So this way here,
I see.
This forces
if
everybody
you walk
to
out the
ride.
door and don't pay,
Right.
they got your card. But that makes it sound worse than it
No, I mean, if you're
But you're
committed
still-
to doing it, it's not a biggie.
Yeah,
You
I
have
think-
to push
right.
yourself to get
I think
it
at the
done.
beginning what happened was as it started going up in money, when it was less money,
Yes.
people would say, it's $500. Okay, well, I
Right.
can afford that. I just won't go. And as it gets up further, there's so many volunteers, there's so
Yeah.
much food, so much everything that it was just going to waste. Back then, back in his day.
Right,
you know.
right. When there was no light. And,
Right, yeah.
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 And
And you
then we
rode
had-
uphill
right.
both ways. Yeah, I
Right,
know all
yeah.
about it. How do you decide which route you're going to take? Do you guys get together for a party afterwards and say, next year we're going to do Wellesley or whatever? Or do you just do the same?
I go up to his house and bum all the beer he has now selling.
Good, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And we've always
It's a
wanted to do
good deal.
he's always done the long one, and that's what I wanted to do. And I actually ran into Mickey that first year, and we've been, friends ever since, and we ride together, and we want to do the longest, hardest ride that we can, as long as we can. And,
Great. And
we
while
have a
you
great
can,
time.
while you
Time is up
can,
about
why
right. I
not?
might do the short one this
Yeah.
year.
You might do the short one. We're going to take our midpoint break here. When we come back, we're going to talk with Mickey Rooney and Frank Hubner a little bit more about the Pan Mass Challenge, how you can get involved. And I'd like to talk to you about some of the mishaps that happen along the way. If you have any interesting stories to tell me about changing
Actually,
tires
the
or crazy
worst
stuff.
incident that ever happened from that bike ride when I started in the
Yep.
80s, early 80s, was a group, and the high-level bikers, they ride in a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll fall off. They circle around. After you ride, get exhausted, they'll come back and go up. And I don't ride that. So, but anyway, they go around. But this doctor was from New York, right? And he was a leader. He was the leader at the time. Great bike rider. He was quite a guy. And he came in from New York, did that. A lawyer, and But when he was in the front that time, for the few minutes that they stay there, he went left, and all his other team went right.
Oh, no.
Right? And he ran smack right head on to a trailer truck there, and that's been.
Oh, my goodness.
That's the only fatality that ever was.
Wow.
Which, knock on
Well,
wood.
that's
Yeah,
excellent.
always.
Well, when we come back, maybe we'll talk about something a little less serious.
nicer.
I was
Yeah,
thinking like
right.
a blown-out tire or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
but I
okay.
appreciate you sharing that with
There
us.
really,
We'll be right
isn't
back
anything
with
bad
more
to say about it.
of Where's
Right.
Wilmington
Huh?
right after
Yeah.
this.
Right.
These guys are going to talk the whole time, so we'll be right back after this.
So, what's it gonna be? We could ride bikes, skating, movies, zoo, whatever you guys want to do.
Can we just do this?
Yeah. We could just do this.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Hi there, welcome back to Where's Wilmington. We have two very chatty guests with us today, Mickey Rooney and Frank Hubner. We're talking about the Pan Mass Challenge. So I do want to correct something. Before, in the first segment, we said we had 230,000 participants last year. We're not sure if that number is accurate.
No, I think it's probably the riders is about 5,600.
Okay.
Volunteers is almost between 3,000 and 4,000.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just the people that are that particular 2 days.
That they've come and volunteered to actually
Right.
physically do it. Now, the only way that other number could come in would be the people who all come out and walk, and I mean not.
It could be.
Right.
It could
All-
be.
that
People
many
that watch.
people coming
Right.
out of their
And
houses.
and the
and
website
spraying
was
the
saying
hoses.
46 towns too are
How many
involved.
towns?
Yeah, there
46
is.
it was
Yeah,
saying,
to go
which is
through.
pretty nice.
What was the
Nice.
number?
46.
1,000?
No,
No,
46
towns.
towns.
Oh,
Towns.
40.
Yeah.
I'd say
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Sounds
could
about
do.
right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
we're lucky to have. Yeah.
Okay.
It's amazing the people who come out.
It's fun to just watch, right?
Oh,
You
it
come and
really
hang out and
is,
cheer
yeah.
you on and all that too.
Yeah.
So it's similar to the marathon except with
Right.
bikes.
Exactly.
So how do
Yeah.
you decide what bike you're going to use and how do you keep that tuned up?
Well, the first time I went, I didn't know any better, so I took my mountain bike that had the knobby tires on it.
Right, that's what I would do.
And I didn't think anything of it, and you come up and put your bike on the starting line, and you go back in there at breakfast. And I put my kickstand down, left my bike out there, and I looked out after breakfast, and there's only one bike standing up, and it's mine. And I'm looking, I says, well, no one else had a kickstand, and I didn't know you weren't supposed to ride a mountain bike. And everybody was going by me saying, oh, I feel bad for you. I said, what's the matter? He goes, that's the only bike you had? And I said, why? And so it wasn't the bike to use for the Pan
So
Pass.
what do you use? Like a traditional 10-speed bike with thin tires?
Well, it's like 30 speeds with the thin tires.
Okay, and
You know?
that makes it easier to pedal over
yeah.
time?
It's
But you really
time.
feel the difference?
Oh, there's no
Really?
comparison.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a mistake that I did.
But I bet you now they have on the website, you can look and they can probably tell you
The
what,
only thing
some
now is you don't
tips,
want
what
to
you
jump
should
too
do.
quick. You want to, whatever bike you have, if you're satisfied with it, use it, because the price of bicycles,
Right, they're
you're talking
expensive now.
$5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for a bike.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Used to be able to get a car for that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But that's what you
Yeah.
think, huh?
Yeah.
So what do you guys ride right now? What style or kind of bike? What kind of bike do you use?
Oh, mine is, what's mine?
Is it Schwinn?
I have a Trek that I use.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine's
Is it
named after Demoulas. It is true, and that's the only thing I can relate it to. But
Okay.
it's a good bike.
And what do you do after the season? Do you go and get it tuned up, and how does that work? What do you do to keep your bikes in shape? And I imagine you bring extra tires and all that stuff too,
Yeah,
right?
even sometimes
Yeah.
we do a lot of riding afterwards. Sometimes.
Right, we do. There was a couple of rides we do afterwards.
Really?
Seacoast ride up in New Hampshire.
You guys are
that's ahead of it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. I
but
think
it's,
I would be like, no, thank you. That's enough for me,
No, you'd be surprised how many people you see out there.
And it keeps you in
Yeah.
great shape, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? Really good for you.
Keeping them good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're supposed to bring extra, like on the ride, there's a lot of vehicles out there to help you.
Yes.
A lot of these bike shops will volunteer their time and the services and the different checkpoints. And if you break down, you can hit a number. They'll come to you no matter where you are on the
nice.
ride.
Yeah, tell them how that works. That's amazing.
They'll turn around and, and they can turn around, they'll change a tire, they'll do this, they'll do that, and get you and they'll just get you going.
Love that.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Billy Stott does a phenomenal job
He
on
does,
this.
yeah.
And I'm sure from when you started to now, you've probably seen a lot of changes. Things
Oh,
get better
God.
and better and more
Yeah.
streamlined every time you do it.
I think when I first started in 1981 or 2, whatever, I don't think they had pedals then.
Well, that
No
made it a
pedals.
little
Yeah.
extra tougher.
Yeah.
That's why the
Yeah.
entrance fee was a little lower, right? You had to
Yeah,
like
that was only
carry the
$500
bike.
back then.
Yeah, funny.
Yeah, you only went up 3 hills.
So how can folks get involved that maybe don't want to ride or can't ride? What should they do?
Somebody who wants to ride,
Can't maybe.
Oh, can't.
Can't ride but wants to do something. What do
Volunteer.
you suggest?
Yeah.
they need thousands of them. How many did you say? 3,000,
we
4,000 maybe?
it's almost like one volunteer for every 2 riders. That's how many people
Wow.
there are. But they can go on pmc.org and there's all kinds of
Everything's
information
there,
on there. They can
So if you want to
volunteer.
donate money to these guys'
Right.
ride, or if you want to volunteer or help, you can
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can look up a person's name and go on their site,
And
donate
they all,
money.
just before they go, they send their name in, whatever. Then they go in and they get a nice shirt,
Oh.
and they go out to a certain area to where everybody is needed.
Yeah.
And
But
they have a
may
hell
be
of
too
a
late.
time for the day.
Might be too late to get the ride route that you want.
Oh, you
right?
couldn't. It's probably full now.
So you won't be
Oh
allowed
yeah,
to
but there's
use
other
it.
rides that are still open.
Okay.
The big ride usually goes first, and then the smaller rides will go next. But there's a lot of people that just want to do the small rides also.
Right.
But there's still thousands of volunteers.
So you can get involved in any way.
Oh,
Yeah, you can
If
anytime.
you can't ride, you can donate. If you
Yeah.
can't donate, you can donate your time
Right.
too. Do your families also participate? Your wives and kids and stuff? Do they
Well,
come and cheer you on?
One of my oldest sons going to try it this year.
Good.
He's talking about it. But all my grandchildren, and because I lost my wife 7 or 8 years ago with cancer, so with that, they've got quite a crew going there now.
That's
so
nice.
everybody's
Yeah, he's
going
got a
different
crew.
directions,
Yeah.
what to do, where to
He's
go,
got a crew.
whatever. And so
I got a
That's
couple.
nice.
2 of my sons have done it.
Really?
Yeah, they did it one year. They just said, "Oh, we can do this," and they just get out and rode. And they didn't train, but they're younger.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What do you do for training? Do you train all year?
Well, no. He gets on the bike a lot more than I do. I start maybe in May, June, July.
Because
and
you have to
that's it.
work up to that.
You have to build
100
up the
something
stamina and
miles,
stuff.
yeah.
He's always out on the bike.
Right.
He's so good. He waits until the 1st of August and then he jumps right on the bike.
No, it's
He's a
pretty
good rider, I'll tell you that.
Excellent. Excellent.
But you know, I never heard of it before I read it in the paper, and now all of a sudden, you know, my son's ride, my niece is riding last year, and my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is actually doing it this year, and before 2003, I didn't even know what the PNMS was.
Right.
I had no clue, and it just opened up a whole.
Yep. I've
whole
seen
new
definitely a
world.
lot more publicity in the last few
Right.
years, I think, too,
Yeah.
which is great. Anything final you would like to tell the people watching today before we close? Anything you'd like to say?
I don't know. Maybe if any of them churchgoers, I hope they would go the day before the bike ride that it doesn't pour rain.
Excellent. Pray
Yeah.
for no rain.
Right.
Okay. And what
Yeah.
about you, Frank? Anything?
No, I think I'd like to see everybody get on TV and watch it. I think it's on Channel 5 this year.
Great.
They have it on, I think, the first night in Sturbridge, it's on from like 7 to 8 or something like that on Channel 5. And all the weekend long, they have different excerpts on all the new, you know, on that particular, and you can see it. And it's a great way to raise money for cancer.
Excellent.
And I think up to this point, Billy's been doing it for so long. He's got to be upwards of like $400 million he's raised or something.
It's a lot of
you know,
money.
for the
Yeah,
cancer.
isn't
So
it amazing?
just to
It's
get
great.
out and, you know,
Yeah.
like I said,
I feel
everybody's
like you can do something about it. Sometimes
Right,
we feel so
exactly.
helpless. It's
Right.
nice to be able to do something good. And you
Exactly.
know 100% of the proceeds.
Now,
is
when he
recycled,
first started, his mother passed away of cancer, right?
Right?
And then they started from Sturbridge, and they all got lost. There was like 8 or 10 of them. They got lost, and they got all goofed up and then whatever. And that's how far they've taken it from there.
So now we have actual people that come and save you if you get into trouble. We
Exactly.
have 12 different routes,
Yeah.
Right.
46 towns. It's
Right.
come a long way, baby.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's come a
that's
long
right.
way.
Right.
And all this, you have to really thank all the towns too for letting us, because it really disrupts everything when
Right.
when we go through in that particular hours in each town. You know, all the policemen are out there enforced. They let you go. You know, they're letting the bikes run through everything, stopping all the cars. And
Courses have to be marked.
You
Oh,
could
roads
actually
have to be
go.
blocked.
You could actually go the first day 100 miles on that bike, and not have to stop for anything. They
Wow.
wave you through
Yeah.
every intersection. The police are all there waiting. Ambulances if somebody gets hurt.
Excellent.
It's just
Well, it's nice to have that kind
it's
of
just
support.
phenomenal what
Yes.
they do.
Well,
plenty of
thank you,
support.
gentlemen, for
Well,
being
thank
with
you.
us today and
Yeah,
for telling
thank
us
you.
about it. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. So get involved. You can look at the pmc.org. Yeah,
Yep.
that's the site if you want more information there. And we thank these gentlemen for their involvement. I want to thank you for watching and remind you that the next time somebody asks you, where's Wilmington, you tell them right here and right here on WCTV. We'll see you next time.